Hello, everyone, and welcome to Intuitive Conversations. I'm Chantelle Neufeld,
I'm Tamara Franz.
and today we're talking about coping strategies in times of change. It's when we're
Right.
recording this, it's like almost New Year's Eve, and we're processing the old year and gearing up for whatever 2021 has
Yeah,
to.
yeah. It's not often in history, or maybe every generation has one point in their life where they realize I'm at a turning point in world history. Um, there have been pandemics before, and the world changes. Things definitely change afterwards. So whether we are recognizing it or not, we're moving through a time of change.
So, what
Which
has
brings
helped you the most to get through this year?
um, Well, I one thing that's helped a lot is the little rituals that my husband and I have that sort of get us through the day, get us through the week. We have coffee time every day after work. So no matter how terrible my day is, I know that I can look toward that point and just make it to that point, and then we can sit down and have a nice cafe latte and talk about our day, and everything just kind of decompresses. So that is a daily ritual. We also go for daily walks, sometimes 3 times a day on weekends. So that gets us moving. And we have Friday date nights, which is something we can move toward in the week. It's like, I don't care what happens this week. I can get to Friday and we'll have a lovely date. Joel will make some nice snack. I'll cue up the travel videos.
Yeah, tell me about
The
the
little
travel videos. I've
rituals.
enjoyed your posts on Facebook.
Ah, well, we love to travel. We don't have a lot. I mean, we're not jet setters. We definitely can't do a big trip. Usually one road trip a year, and every few years a larger trip. And we had planned a beautiful trip to Spain for 2020. That we had been working on that for a good year and a half, I would say. And I was learning Catalan through Duolingo. Just spent months and months on that, and we had everything booked, all of our Airbnbs and our itinerary, and just so. And we'd been watching videos of all of these different places we were going to visit, and getting some intimate knowledge of the geography and stuff. And so all of that just came crashing down. So for me, I guess as compensation, I have been a big thing now on YouTube is that people post walking tours of cities, and they go around with their GoPro on their head or hold it, and just walk through these towns and cities in Italy and Spain and Greece and France and all these places that I love. And so I'm not there, but I'm there. So it's the next best way to feed my travel addiction.
Well, like, and it's exciting. Our subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's imagined. Like when we go to a
Right?
movie, we know that, we consciously know someone's on the other end of
Yeah.
the project, like holding the video camera. And we
Yeah.
know that the person's not actually sad, nobody actually died, yet we cry,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah. And when you and it often there's a speaker, the person with the camera, you hear all the ambient sounds. And so as they're walking down the street, you can hear people speaking in the different languages, and the cars moving, and the birds, and the waves on the beach. And so in a sense, you are there. So yeah, that's been my big escape.
All of the senses, and then you
180.
can use your imagination to fill in the rest
Mm-hmm.
of what you would imagine it to smell like, especially if you've been there before or something
Yeah.
similar.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. What's been an escape for you?
Hmm. Well, I love my guided meditations. I think that would have to be
Yeah.
the winning one for me. I mean, the reason I'm so passionate about hypnosis and guided meditations is that it's helped me so much, right? Because I'm always my mind is always so busy, you know.
Yeah.
And when your mind is so busy, anxiety is easily, you
Mm-hmm.
know, it's just a normal thing for humans, and
Yeah.
I'm very human. I like to say I'm superhuman, but I mean that's a different meaning.
Yeah.
But anyways, the guided meditations, definitely. And this year, like, I've created a whole new one, and that's been fun. Like, creative things are fun. I
Yeah.
took an art class for the first time on Zoom.
Wow.
I've never
That's
considered
awesome.
myself an artist before, but now I'm just like, well, there's no bad art, you know? Like,
That's so
I can mix
cool.
some colors together and it can look good. Like,
Oh, that's
yeah,
fantastic.
creative stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. It's odd. This year, 2020, I found myself really hollow with creativity. I
Mm.
used to try to write a poem a week and post it on my blog as a way of keeping myself writing.
You're
I
an
went months.
author of a book of poems.
I went months without writing either a poem or a blog. So
Mm,
I don't know. I just felt like I was in a holding pattern, and
mhm.
lately I've written a couple, but
Well, I
yeah,
mean, there's been so much, I don't even know the word, I guess overwhelm that we've felt this year, both of
yeah,
us. The world
yeah,
has felt it. And when we get overwhelmed, we shut down. And so that's to be expected.
yeah, yeah. I think that's probably an unconscious way that I've been processing the whole pandemic thing.
Mm,
Um, I think another coping mechanism for me has just been like, um, by and large, I like my agenda free and open. And I have a hard time living in a system that operates by bells and
mm,
whistles and things. But little bits of routine are helpful for me. And so in the morning when I get up, I do my 20 minutes of meditation. I usually do a 10-minute or so workout, and I get that all done before I head off to work. And so it kind of wakes me up and
quiet the
gets me
mind, move
moving.
the body.
Yeah, yeah. So
Mm,
I think that because so much has shifted and changed, and we talked about the shifting rules and how, one day they tell you to go left and the next day you're going right, and wear a mask here or you don't have to wear a mask there. And, keeping track of all of that is very confusing. So those little touchstones of routine kind of help to keep us grounded a little bit.
mhm, mhm. Yeah. I was just when you were telling about the rules, my sister who lives in the States, her husband is a firefighter, and the rules there are just hilarious. I mean, it's comical because like they all sleep in the same room, the firefighters. When they're sleeping, they don't have to wear a mask, but when they're like
Oh, yeah.
eating, they have to eat in shifts, and then they have to have masks on everywhere else, and it's just
Yeah.
like, okay, you
Yeah.
know.
They need a bubble chamber around their bed, each one.
You just gotta laugh
Yeah, it's a little
sometimes, and
bit.
I think humor is a good coping strategy,
Yeah.
rather than getting mad. Like, what choice do we really have? It's not like we can, we can't change the rules.
Yeah.
So we can either laugh about them and do our best or get angry and resist. And I mean,
Yeah.
I see like certain small businesses, like how frustrating it must be to put your whole heart and soul into something and just see it go down like the Titanic. Like, I
Yeah.
would be upset too.
Yeah.
Like I'm not telling anyone to not be upset.
Yeah. That actually, now that you're saying that, um, brings to mind another little coping mechanism for us is that we've been trying, because Friday night is usually, we call it junk food night. Doesn't mean that we're necessarily eating junk food, but it's something quick. And um, we just decided towards the end of 2020 that we'll try, every other Friday night or something to order from a local restaurant
Mm,
just to help these folks stay afloat because a lot of us aren't going out. We're not spending money that we might be spending on things like going out, going to movies. Um, so I want to support some of these people who are struggling.
mm,
So I feel like that's a coping mechanism too, is that as we see some things unraveling, we can still contribute in some ways to helping
mhm.
people carry on.
Yeah, here in Winkler, the businesses that, are doing well, donated money to help the businesses that are struggling.
Oh,
So I
how nice.
just, yeah. And I mean, I've been seeing like there's good news everywhere when you look for it, right?
Yeah. And that is a coping mechanism too, is just deciding where you're going to put your focus. Because there is a
Hmm.
lot of fear inducing news.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we have to be mindful about where we're going to put our attention.
Mm-hmm.
Where am
Like
I going to give my energy? I have,
mm-hmm.
energy is precious in a time where we need a lot of energy to navigate all these different rules and protocols and just move through life in a way that we're not used to. That takes a lot of energy. So why would I waste any more of it on reading or watching news that is fear-inducing and that raises suspicion against my neighbors or, turns me into somebody I don't want to be?
Mm. The best thing I saw on Facebook this year is it was like a little blurb written by a Holocaust survivor about how he went about his days. And he said he made his own news headlines. So and so helps so and so. Like he
Cool.
would look for the good things and make it into like a news thing in his own
Yeah,
mind. So,
yeah, yeah. And I think too, something we talked about in our last podcast applies also, which is um, looking at things from a curiosity standpoint
mm,
rather than rushing to judgment right away.
mhm,
Oh, I'm just seeing this on the news. These people are doing this in Wisconsin or whatever. Isn't that interesting?
mhm, mhm. Well, and looking at life through the IFS parts therapy perspective, that we all have different protective parts, and giving ourselves some grace, like that we're human and we have protective parts, and we have parts of us that get angry, sad, um, feel guilty, all the range of emotions. It's okay to have them.
Yeah.
I used to be
And
like, well,
recognize that
what
other
was
people
that?
have them too, and recognizing that other people have those too.
That they're protectors, and
Yeah.
that they are doing their best. But as a therapist, I thought, well, I have to have all my ducks in a row. I have to have everything together. And I think that all humans are always going to be, evolving somehow. And even the people that we look up to the most and think that they have life all figured out, I think they're still figuring it out. Like, I don't think anyone should, like,
Yeah.
that's my message of hope to the world. Like, don't put yourself down if you're growing, if you're facing challenges, if you're feeling bad. Like, we weren't meant to feel happy 24/7. We were just meant to
Right.
feel our feelings. And like,
Yeah.
when you think of it, um a feeling, like, it only lasts 90 seconds unless we give it a lot of attention. We just allow it to flow through, you know
Yeah. Yeah.
we have a lot
Yeah.
more inner resources than we realize.
Yeah.
And I love connecting people to their inner resources, like, especially to show them how empowered they can be. They can make a choice for different things.
Yeah.
I know people think, oh no, I can't, I'm having a bad day. And that's okay too. Like, it's okay to have a bad day. It's okay to let
Hmm.
yourself take a day to grieve, which I did recently, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
But at the same time, we can choose what we want to pay attention to, and energy flows where attention goes. So
That's right. Yeah.
whether we choose to be sad or we choose to be, to look for something good, they're both okay.
Yeah.
And that's my favorite part about parts therapy, and is loving all parts of ourselves, those protective parts of ourselves. So when
Yeah.
we see something come up, like a fear or anger, we're so quick to judge those things because we were taught they
Yeah.
were wrong, but they're not wrong.
Yeah.
They're just
It
trying to
makes me
protect us.
it makes me think of all those fairy tales where, there's a monster or there's an ugly toad or something, and as soon as it is loved,
Mm,
it transforms into something beautiful,
mhm.
right? Beauty and the Beast. If you can love the beast and make friends with the beast, whether it's your own beast inside, that makes that transformation possible.
That's my favorite healing tool, is that feeding your demons that we did a couple of podcasts about. I just love it because, like, those protective parts just needed something. Like, it's just
Yeah,
underneath that is an inner child who, kind of got stuck back there and just needs some love and
yeah,
understanding and acceptance. Doesn't need that rejection and pushing away. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the more you push back, it just becomes this tug of war.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You mentioned the art course that you took online, and that to me is another great coping mechanism, is just a creative outlet,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's singing or dancing or writing or um, creating something, right? Because creativity is always an energy moving through you. So,
Yeah, and that guided
seeing that
meditation that
energy,
I created is all about creating. So it's just full of
yeah,
vague suggestions of things that you want to do and visualizing yourself doing them and how you could get from point A to point B. And
yeah. Maybe you can post a link to that
oh, sure, I will do that.
website when you post this, and people who are interested can access it there.
Yeah, well, just Google my name, Chantelle Neufeld, and you'll be able to message me somehow and I'll get it to you. Um, yeah, well, what were we saying before? There was something that we were saying before that I really wanted to touch on. I'll get back to it.
We were talking about
Oh,
parts therapy.
yes, the art class. Th-
Oh,
That's how I found it, was an IFS parts therapy group online. And
oh,
they were drawing their parts. Like,
oh, wow.
yeah, and different aspects of themselves. So the art class that I took was about like three animals. We were drawing three animals, one that represented us emotionally, one that represented us mentally, like there there's just so many creative ideas. And the leader of the group is gonna start the artist's way, like the artist's
Oh,
way. So she's
yeah,
gonna do a
yeah.
whole thing on that, and it's completely free. So
Oh, wow. I'm
yeah.
gonna get the link from you for that.
It was so nice. It was meditative to just spend that
Yeah,
hour. Like most Zoom calls, you're like, so focused on the screen, staring at the screen, but we weren't. Like we just got
yeah.
our instructions at the beginning. We spent an hour in silence, or if we had our own music, drawing. And then at the end, we got to share what our drawing meant to us. And it was just
Oh,
so bonding and so like connective. They were like perfect strangers, and yet I felt so, like, yes, I get you, I have a part like that too, kind of.
yeah, yeah. I think that's a really important coping mechanism too, is connecting with people. And yes, I mean, people that you care about, your family and friends and things, but also connecting with people on that level where you are engaged in something that moves people forward, something creative, something constructive, something positive. My
Mm,
husband is involved with a local group that promotes sustainable initiatives.
love it.
And as part of that, he helps run the community garden. And they
Oh,
have a huge vision now for a beautiful um, timber frame pavilion that they want to build at the site of the community garden where people can gather. There's going to be picnic tables and washrooms. They want to landscape a nice path with a little bridge over the ditch connecting to this pavilion. So they're going to, beautify the garden and create this gathering space. And the energy that's been generated around that, where local businesses are contributing just wonderful sums of money, and um, it just is giving so much hope and energy in a time when everything seems to be falling apart, that you can be part of some group that has a vision for something new.
mm.
I think that gives a lot of hope and energy to people when they're involved with that. So that Artist Way group, like, I want to grab onto that right away.
Yeah, it
Definitely looking for
excited me
something
a
like that.
lot. Like, we always say,
Yeah,
like, follow your heart song, and I was just like,
yeah,
you just tend to be drawn to certain things at certain times. And
yeah, yeah. Well, and that's it, being open to the nudges from the
mhm,
universe, right? Because things will come. Somebody will let drop something that just grabs your attention, or you might see something. I have a friend who is a wonderful artist, and she had never drawn. She doodled in her notebooks in school and stuff, but never had even conceived of herself as a visual artist. And lived in Toronto, and walking one day, she saw a sign for a course called Art for the Terrified. And she said to her partner, if ever I was going to take an art course, it would be that one. And he said, I dare you. and that was the opening to her wonderful, amazing career as an artist. She does the most amazing work, and it just was a little nudge like that.
Mm.
So,
Yeah, music has been exciting me a lot lately, and I recently found this one on Spotify where you can sing mantras,
ooh, yeah.
and like in the healing circles, the vagus nerve is so important to activate, and singing or humming activates the vagus nerve. So it's just like little things like
Ah,
that you just
yeah,
find, and it's like different things work for different people, but yeah,
yeah.
there's
But
all
those
sorts.
are empowering, right? And living in a time where it can feel so disempowering that the rug is pulled out from under you on so many things that you're used to doing, all the things that are familiar, very disorienting. So to latch on to something that feels empowering to me is very healing and hopeful.
Hmm. Yes. Well, we have come to the end of our end of our time, so it's
All
been
right, another
awesome.
20 minutes just blown by.
Yes. All right, everyone. Till next time, keep following your heart song.